The MD-80 flight guidance system is an integrated flight director, autopilot and auto-throttle system that will guide you throughout the full flight regime. Because the three systems are so integrated, we'll describe them here as just one. The flight guidance system provides the following functions. Two fully independent digital flight guidance computers perform the necessary calculations based on inputs from many aircraft sensors. Both computers provide output signals to drive the flight director command bars and the fast-slow indicators in the two primary flight displays. Normally, Digital Flight Guidance Computer 1 feeds the left primary flight display and Computer 2 the right. If the autopilot is engaged, one of the two computers provides the same signals to drive the servo actuators controlling the roll, pitch, yaw, and pitch trim surfaces. You can select which computer is active. The computer not in use receives and processes the same input in parallel and acts as a hot spare, ready to take over by pilot command should the active computer fail. When auto-throttle is engaged, the selected flight guidance computer also provides commands to the duplex throttle servo controlling the power levers in order to control aircraft speed, Mach number, and engine thrust. The 1-2 switch also determines which computer is supplying command logic to the EPR select panel, the various EPR settings. To the Flight Management System, FMS, for both performance and navigation functions. The Altitude Alert and Capture System. To the Automatic Reserve Thrust, ART system, which provides maximum thrust in the event of an engine failure. To the Automatic Thrust Restoration System, ATR, that increases under certain conditions in the event of an engine failure during takeoff. To the Engine Synchronization System, which ensures that both engines output the same EPR. To the Mach Trim Compensation System, which provides nose-up movement of the control column to compensate for the normal pitch-down characteristics encountered at high Mach numbers. And to the yaw damper system. Good. 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 The control center for the flight guidance system is located on the glare shield. The flight guidance control panel actually consists of several panels. The left pilot VHF nav control panel for VHF nav 1 and a similar one on the right for VHF nav 2. With the flight director switches on, control signals are sent from each digital flight guidance computer to the command bars and to the fast-slow indicator on the primary flight displays. The auto throttle panel controls the engine thrust to selected speeds and Mach, or to maximum EPR values. This switch engages the auto throttle system. The combined speed Mach readout displays either the indicated airspeed or the Mach number that the auto throttle system will maintain. By pushing either speed select or Mach select, the values can be changed by rotating the speed Mach selector knob. This button sets the auto throttle system to the maximum EPR limit. When FMS override button is pushed, the FMS control speed can be adjusted by use of the speed Mach select knob. Next is the directional control panel, containing the heading select knob with its bank angle limit selector. Steering is also affected by the use of the 4 buttons on the left. This panel controls the aircraft in the pitch plane. It contains the combined airspeed pitch select wheel and the corresponding readout. By moving the pitch wheel up or down, you can adjust either the vertical or the forward speed. After pushing either the vertical speed or IAS Mach buttons. The altitude hold button selects the existing altitude, and the VNAV button engages the flight management system performance functions for vertical navigation. Near the right-hand side is the autopilot and altitude pre-select panel. You set the cleared altitude using the altitude set knob. This readout shows a pre-selected altitude for automatic capture and level off, and for altitude alert. The Turb button on the right engages turbulence mode to help you in rough weather. Touch the switch to engage the autopilot. Now touch the 1-2 selector to make digital flight guidance computer number 2 the active one. The autopilot engage switch must be reset to on after switching from one computer to the other. When a flight director switch is placed in the FD position, the command bars and the fast-slow indicator come into view on its PFD. Engage the captain's flight director. Now engage the first officer's flight director. His command bars and fast-slow indicator come into view. However, if a red FD fail message comes into view, indicating either an internal flight director command bar display failure or a computer malfunction, then the command bars and fast-slow indicator will disappear. Then you need to select the other computer. You do this with the selector switch on the overhead panel. Touch the switch to move it to the both on one position. An amber caution light on each pilot's panel indicates that both flight director systems are now being fed by the same computer. Correct. Correct. Below the glare shield are the Captain's and First Officer's Flight Mode Annunciator panels, FMA. Also relevant are the autopilot release buttons on each control wheel and the auto throttle disconnect button. The two identical flight mode annunciators keep you informed at all times of the armed or engaged modes of the flight guidance system. There's no need to memorize the various mode annunciations. They're displayed to let you know what's going on. What is important to know is that from left to right, the four windows display auto throttle mode, arm mode, roll mode, and pitch mode. Just remember the word TARP. The FMA also contains the FMA warning and caution lights. The autopilot trim caution light comes on when the autopilot gives an elevator input which the horizontal stabilizer does not automatically trim out. The light will remain on until either the out of trim condition corrects itself or the autopilot is disengaged. The no auto land light comes on steady when the FGS has detected a condition that will not permit an automatic landing. These lights are known as the comparator monitor lights. If the comparator monitor detects the difference between the Captain's and First Officer's ILS attitude or compass inputs, then the respective comparator lights on both FMAs will come on steady. For example, here's the difference between the two compass systems. If an ILS attitude or compass failure is detected, the respective ILS horizon or heading comparator light on the failed side will flash, and the non-failed side will come on steady. The monitor light will come on when a failure affects the validity of the comparator monitor itself. The lights can be reset using the reset button. Touch the button. If the failure still persists, pushing and holding the button will redisplay the light. The throttle warning light will flash whenever you disengage the auto throttle by the throttle switches, or the auto throttle disengages for some other reason. Pushing one of the auto throttle disconnect buttons a second time, or moving the auto throttle switch to on, will extinguish the light. The autopilot warning light will come on flashing whenever the autopilot is disengaged. At the same time, you'll also hear a warbling horn sound and a voice saying, autopilot. Pushing one of the autopilot release buttons on either control wheel will put out the light and silence the oral warning. To the extreme right of the FMA are the blue Autopilot 1, Autopilot 2 operating mode lights. When the autopilot switch is moved to the autopilot on position, the associated blue AP light will come on. FMA brightness is controlled by this switch on each pilot's instrument lights panel. And the FMA displays are tested by pressing the Annunciator Digital Lights Test button on the overhead panel. Touch the button. All the lights on the comparator display and FMA come on. If OK, each FMA character position gives a starburst display. Yes, 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 yes.